Despite more games available than ever, some gamers keep throwing in their lot with companies past the point of logic. Let's chat about it down below, but first, my opinion. I'm Tarmack, and this is Feature Creep. I saw a Twitter thread involving some very interesting comments lately which spun me into a realm of amusement and confusion that I've not been in for quite some time. It involved YouTuber Crap Gamer Reviews, whose Twitter profile gratuitously refers to himself as one of the most controversial game-related YouTube personalities, as though this was some item to be proud of, and Phil Spencer, the head of the Xbox division at Microsoft. Very recently, it came to light that Quantum Break, a previously exclusive to Xbox One title, was going to be released on Windows for PC gamers. It has a DirectX 12 requirement, so given that limits us to Windows 10 PC gamers only, hopefully it takes real advantage of that DX12 limit. But that's ultimately not my beef today. Mr. Crap Gamer vomited a tweet into the series of tubes that is the internet about having cancelled his pre-order of Quantum Break specifically because it was now being made available on PC. Phil's reply was a rather incredulous one, asking if he really cancelled a pre-order for a game he wanted to play just because other people now get to play it too. Points for spine, but probably not what the PR team had in mind, and I suspect that it may have earned Microsoft more cancelled pre-orders than it generated new ones as a result of his tone. The idea of a person being so utterly blinded by their loyalty as to be upset that another platform is also getting a title is a hilarious and frustrating event to me that is essentially the dictionary definition of entitlement. It could be likened to two spoiled children where one got a toy and mom and dad went out to get a second of the same toy so that the kids would quit fighting, but then the first child being upset that the second one got a toy too. The amused part of my monkey brain also did get a chuckle out of the back and forth between him and Phil. One comment that Phil made stood out to me as particularly egregious. Phil said, and I quote, "I've said it over and over, we are focused on the best place to play for gamers, not about creating walls." End quote. I like Phil, and luckily he's got broad shoulders, so my comments are unlikely to hurt his feelings. His statement may be his long-term goal for the Xbox division at Microsoft, but sure as hell isn't what they're doing right now, and I'll tell you why I say that. Quantum Break as a title was marketed as an Xbox One exclusive, and they were less nebulous about this one than usual when a PC release is going to happen. Usually, these exclusives obviously come across as meaning not on PS4 or not on Xbox One, but rarely do the marketing teams actually use the word exclusive in anywhere near the realm of the definition of the word. Dictionaries are not mandatory in marketing school, apparently. When Phil took over the Xbox One division, he came out swinging, saying that they're not building up walls and the console wars were distasteful. Well, let's play out the psychology of an exclusive product, shall we? What it does is attempt to build brand loyalty among consumers. If a product is only available on a platform that you own, the intent and effect is often an increase in that loyalty. Of course, it is an incentive to purchase the console for a game, but very few games are overt console sellers. Usually it takes a wide berth of exclusives in order to justify the purchase of a $400 gaming device. So, in that attempt to both increase purchases and increase brand loyalty through grabbing as many exclusives as possible, Microsoft is doing precisely the opposite of what Phil is claiming. They're building a wall. They're feeding the console war fire by actively engaging in subverting an open gamer community attitude by specifically rewarding people who remain loyal to the Xbox One platform. It's odd to pay for a reward as a consumer, but exclusive products on a platform are a form of reward nonetheless. The second item of discourse is that of online matchmaking exclusivity. For non-exclusive titles on multiple platforms, Xbox One players have historically not been able to play multiplayer games with PC players. Usually the reason claimed is that controllers versus mouse and keyboard is not an equivalent control structure, and so therefore the two should be separated. This is nonsense. Well, it's true, mouse and keyboard consistently trounce controllers in pro gaming. However, as a reason to split the two, it's nonsense, because that would only apply to FPS for starters, and both platforms can support each control structure, yet everything has this limitation. So why would that limitation be there? Well, it's because gamers are more likely to buy a game on a platform that their friends are playing on so that they can play together. This one is another loyalty play, pushing buyers to pick up both games and consoles so that they have something to play with their friends. Someone without a ridiculous amount of disposable income is much more likely to pick up a $400 console to play games with friends than a $1,000 plus computer to do the same. Microsoft also gets a cut of all game revenue on Xbox, where on PC they do not. Yet. Now, Windows 10 will have some crossplay functionality, but the way that they're doing crossplay is yet another restrictive Iron Fist method rolling it up under Xbox Live. This excludes Steam, Origin, and Uplay, or other devs who might sell outside of those platforms but don't make the active choice to engage in the Windows 10 buying process. A process which you can be damn sure nets Microsoft revenue similar to the cut it takes on physical console games. The third item to discuss is where I want to bring this whole issue back to Crap Gamer, because amid the thread of entitled nonsense, he did bring up one very good point of contention. Unfortunately, his anger is directed at the Quantum Break multi-platform release and how PC gamers shouldn't be allowed to have it, instead of the real culprit that he identified and yet is commonly not addressed. Xbox One players, unlike PC players, must buy Xbox Live access in order to play anything online. This online access comes, of course, with some mitigation strategies to increase its perceived value, such as the occasional back catalog game for free, new icons, and a bunch of other meaningless junk, much like PS Plus. The thing about Xbox Live is that it's an artificial wall. Absolutely, it costs money to operate a large server structure, I don't dispute that. However, this is an aspect of gaming inequality where PC gamers have an advantage. Microsoft made an active choice to maintain a great deal of control in the Xbox One multiplayer space, and in doing so, set up that wonderful paywall, of course, as a way of funding that desire for control. And if I only had an Xbox One, I could easily see myself being upset at Microsoft for continuing to require an additional access fee for features that PC gamers get for free. This is not an issue with Quantum Break, however, but the console maker and their business decisions. And console gamers obviously need to evaluate whether it's something that they're willing to support. As an aside, while doing research on this topic, I came across the phrase port begging. Holy hell, what a snide, derogatory way of addressing people hoping a game comes out on game platforms that they have. It's the same issue as the Shenmue 3 early Kickstarter backers wanting the devs to remove PayPal backing rewards. Utter selfish nonsense. I would and do argue that pre-ordering video games is one of the silliest things that gamers currently do, having fallen hook, line, and sinker for the cut content being provided as pre-order bonuses. However, to take that line of thinking a little bit further, assigning additional value to a game that is exclusive because it is exclusive, and pre-ordering on that basis is even worse. And Crap Gamer isn't alone. There's a fair bit of online look-at-me, attention-seeking nonsense of loud people being upset that a game they thought was just for them isn't just for them anymore. Some have gone as far as to try to make arguments akin to, what's the point of buying an Xbox now if we don't have exclusive games? We might as well buy a PC because then we can turn the graphics settings up and not have to pay for Xbox Live, which amusingly has a lot of PC gamers beside themselves with laughter saying, yeah, we agree. It's this odd apparent feeling that Microsoft owes them something for their loyalty, when in fact that loyalty in a company which sees you as a number is misplaced. For Phil, if he wants to continue the narrative that they're not building up walls, then they need to stop building up walls. Initiating Xbox One Windows 10 crossplay is a step in the right direction, but this continued focus on yanking exclusive titles from Microsoft-only platforms is a very serious wall being placed. And when you're actively engaging in that kind of business, you can't then sit back and say you're not building walls. On the player side, if someone is angry that another person who wasn't going to be able to play a game can now play a game, it's not the other person's fault, it's not the developer's fault, it's not the publisher's fault or the platform's fault. It's the fault of the one who is angry for acting like a child and pouting that the world doesn't revolve around them. Grow up. Tantrums because fellow gamers get to play certain games are not becoming of adults or even teens. This is not some limited quantity where something is being taken away from you. Being genuinely upset over the concept of Xbox Live and the different walls being put in place is totally valid. But then the problem has nothing to do with the games being made available for others. It has to do with the limitations being intentionally put in place by the platform who has that locked-in loyalty. Reducing that loyalty is where the battle should begin. I've been very lucky throughout my life to have been exposed to many different gaming platforms. I have a very difficult time getting locked into a platform for any reason that doesn't have a logical base, which is why I'm primarily a PC gamer. Rather than have one of each platform, I spend a bit more and get a PC that can run games at an excellent level of performance and fidelity, and to me, that simply makes more sense. Not everyone can afford a monster PC though, so the idea that they can play on other platforms is awesome. The more gamers, the better in my book. So, what do you think about this concept of fan loyalty? You ever caught yourself making a snap judgment that you later look back and questioned whether you were over-invested in something? Let's chat about it down below. Feature Creep is a regular show, and I can always use more exposure, so if this didn't piss you off too much, consider maybe tossing it up on Reddit or a forum or something. That's all I have to say. Tarmack out.